Hello students, so we are going to talk today about numericals and we will also see some information which is valuable for this chapter. And talking with the information, we will start with the velocity of any oscillating object at an instantaneous place. So I am giving the example of spring and a bob. So if a spring is resting here, so this is the equilibrium point. Now if I disturb this one, so the bob will go back and forth, right? So the bob will, let's say, come till this much, A point, and in this way it will come, let's say, this much. That is my B point. So the amplitude is OA or OB. That is the maximum. So let's say A is the amplitude. At an instant time t, I can find out the displacement. So let's say I want to know at t equal to 2 seconds where the bob will be. So how I can find out? I can find out using the relation y is equal to, where y is the displacement from equilibrium point. So y is equal to a sine omega t. Okay, so this is the relation from where I can easily find out what will be the location of my uh, bob at some time. Now there is also one more relation that is very important here. The derivation you can do later on. The derivation is based on integration and we can easily get this. So V is equal to omega root over amplitude square minus the displacement square. So if you want to know what will be the velocity of your bob at that point, let's say at y distance from the equilibrium, you can easily find using this formula. Okay. Now you can put here y is equal to 0, that means at equilibrium. So if you put here y is equal to 0, you will see that v is equal to omega a, and that will be the maximum velocity, v max, for the bob. If you put y is equal to a, so that case you will get v is equal to 0, that is the minimum velocity. So y is equal to a means the bob is at extreme point. Let's say A. Bob is at A. Right. So that means in A point, the extreme points, the velocity is always 0. But remember that the acceleration out here, that means at extreme point, acceleration of the bob is always maximum. Please do remember this, that the acceleration is maximum at the extreme points and acceleration is minimum at the center, whereas the velocity is maximum at the center and the velocity is minimum at the extreme points, that is 0. This is the situation for all of the uh, oscillating system or all of the simple harmonic motions. Okay. More some information I want to share with you, like it's regarding pendulum, and we will also do some maths using this. So in pendulum, we know that the time period, if you have a pendulum like this and it is oscillating like back and forth, it is going back and forth, and the length of the pendulum is L, and it is under the influence of gravity G, then the time period is given by this easy formula. Okay. Now there are many cases where we will see that this time period will be different if we keep the pendulum in different situation. Let's say the pendulum is like this, and the floor, like from where it is suspended, that floor is going with some acceleration a, and also g is working in this way. So there are two accelerations working right now. So we know that because of inertia, the pendulum will have a tendency to go to what you say, to stay in the same position. As a result, the inertial acceleration a will be like acted on the pendulum, because the floor itself is moving in different direction with acceleration a. Like previously we have talked about pendulum. If we just pull it upside with acceleration a, then the bob will have inertial acceleration a in the downside also along with g. As a result, tension will increase. So the same kind of situation will occur here. Sorry. So in that case, there will be two accelerations right now. As a result, the accelerations are vector quantity, so we have a resultant acceleration this. As a result, for this kind of perpendicularly working accelerations on the pendulum, we will have a different formula for our t, and that will be L by root over a square plus g square. Whenever we have situations like the car is going on and then inside the car there is a pendulum, so in those cases the what to say, the time period will change. One more situation will come when your pendulum is in inclined plane. So let's say you have a pendulum in some inclined plane, okay, with theta as the inclination angle. Then the time period will again change. So I am talking about a pendulum which is in inclined plane. So in that case also the time period will change, and that will become 2 pi root over L by g cos theta. So we have to take the cos theta component of g, because g will be working. So in that case, let's say, so pendulum, let's say, will oscillate like this somehow. I like I just try to wait. Let's say from here it is dropping. So I know that g is working like this, but if I take the center of oscillation like this, so in that case what will happen? I have to take this component. So this is g. So this angle will be theta. So this will be g cos theta. So that's why instead of g I will write g cos theta. So in inclined plane, this is the formula for time period. These two are important in these cases. Now there is something which is called second pendulum, and that is very important. Second pendulum, that is very important for entrance exams. Second pendulums are those pendulums which are having time period equal to 2 seconds. So if you have any kind of pendulum for which the time period is your 2 seconds, that means starting from here it will go this way, it will go that way, and again it will come back to this place. The total time is 2 seconds. So for each time, each tick, let's say it is coming from here to here. So for each time this is 1 second. Again it will come back 1 second. So total time period is 2 seconds in that case. So those are called second pendulum. Now if you take the second pendulum and if you measure the length from this equation, for Earth we know the value of g here. So for Earth the length is approximately 1 meter. Approximately, okay. It will come 9.9 something. So approximately this is 1 meter. So remember this second pendulum. Okay. Okay. One more pendulum we have, that is called conical pendulum. So why I am telling these all things? Because this will be very important later on. So conical pendulum means instead of oscillating in 2 dimension, what it will do? It will oscillate in 3 dimension. That means it will oscillate in a circle like this. So let's say the bob is oscillating like a circle, and this is the axis. and the bob is oscillating in a circle. So these are called conical pendulum. So in conical pendulum, tension works in this way, your mg works down way. So if the theta will be given to you, let's say it is making an angle theta with the axis, then what are the force will work? First, this t will be splitted into two way. So this is theta, so this will be theta, so this will be cos theta, this will be t sine theta, and because it is rotating in a in a round circle, so there will be centrifugal force, that is m r omega square. R is this distance, and that also we can find out using trigonometry if we know the length of the pendulum itself. So in that case we can make some equations of motion. Okay, t sine theta is equal to m r omega square, and from them we can find out many things. We can take a ratio, we can find out theta, and so many things. Okay, so this is called canonical or conical pendulum. Okay, so we have talked about the velocity today and the pendulum today. There are so many pendulums, but we don't need so much. Okay, one more thing is that we have one more system which comes in your exam, that is U-tube. It is not that U-tube what you are thinking about. It is a U-shaped tube where we can put liquid in it. So we know that liquid always stay in the same height initially. Now if I just blow it or do something with it so that the level is disturbed, so what will happen? This level will go down, this level will increase, again this level will go down, and this level will increase. So this is one kind of oscillation. So in this kind of oscillation, remember that the time period of oscillation is given by 2 pi root over h by g, you can say. Okay, where so you can write also this as L by G, where L is the length of the cylinder that is submerged in the liquid in equilibrium position. So the height from here to the equilibrium position. Okay, so that is your L in this case. So the formula is similar to remember, but for the sake of doing problems, please remember this thing. So these are the things we will be needed for solving out some problems. There are something which is called damped oscillation that I have told in the earlier scenario. So that is not important, but I'm just writing instead of for damped oscillation. Now these things are there in your higher studies, so only the consequence are required in your case. So in normal oscillation, we know that y is equal to a sine omega t, simple. But for damped oscillation, this is different. For damped oscillation stops after some time. So in that case, we write y is equal to a e to the power minus bt by 2m. So you can see there is an extra term here. And then we have sine or cos, whatever you can take, cos, then omega prime t plus phi. Okay, phi is the phase. So you can say that, okay, this is even not there. So the most simplest formula is this one. You can say that this is sine omega t. This is important to know here, that in the damped oscillation, this extra term is there. So you can see that this is an exponential term which is decreasing in order. With time, if we draw the graph, with time the y will decrease in certain exponential form. So that is important to know, that in case of this kind of damped oscillation, what will happen after some time, the oscillation, the displacement will stop after infinite time accordingly to our theory, after infinite time the displacement will be 0. Okay, so this is your damped oscillation. So these are the things I wanted to tell you in this class, and let us do some numericals right now. So this is our first numerical, or wait, I think I have something else. Okay, yeah, there I have. So you can see here two springs are joined connected to a block of mass m as shown in the figure below. The surface are frictionless. If the springs are separately have force constant k1 and k2, show that the frequency of oscillation is this. So f1 and f2 are the frequencies of their individual oscillations. Okay, like if we add k1 here, if we add only k2 here, then so we have to prove this thing, right? So what to do? So see, it's kind of that problem where you have to find the equivalent constant, right? So how to find equivalent constant? It's very easy. See, the both springs are giving force to my block whose mass is m. So I can write here that the force, I know that force equal to kx. So I can write here the force given by k, like spring with k1 constant is this, and the force given by k2 is this. Okay, now if I want to know that so why I have taken x here, both cases x here, because my block will move once at a once, but if I want to compare these and this, then I have to talk about the same displacement. Otherwise, if my displacement is also different, so there is no such comparison possible. So this f2 is such that the displacements are same. So I can write here from x equal to f1 by k, whereas my x here is equal to f2 by k. If I want to talk about the total force, and if I take my k equivalent, like the combined effect of them to be this, even if I take x1 and x2, even if I take, then also you can see the same thing will happen. So I can write here that both their total combined displacement is this, and k is my that total one. Okay, so what I can do, I can write here that my instead of my x1 and x2, what I can do, I can just put the values here directly. Okay, so I can write here f is equal to k, this I have to find out, f1 by k plus k1 plus f2 by k2. I can write like this. Okay, acha, this I have to come later on. First I have to find out the equivalent k itself. Okay, acha, from here we can do it, but the problem is from here I cannot directly come to f, because k is linked with, we know that k is linked with somehow omega, because we know that omega is root over k by m. So first of all I have to find out the equivalent k itself. So what to do now? Now you can see here that in order to combine them, okay, what I need to find out k. So if I write here k is equal to f by f1 by k1 plus f2 by k2. Okay, this I can write. Now you see one thing, because I have taken different x's here, that means the displacements are different. So see, these two terms can be completely different, so there is no way to compare or like combine them. So I am thinking of some displacement for whose the forces will be same here. So in the next line, so let us write what I got here. So I got K is equal to F, the total F by F1 by K1 plus F2 by K2. That's what I got. Acha. Now I am thinking of some F, some displacement for whose these two forces will be same. And this equation what we have written here, for this even we have to take this F as same, so that whatever this K2 spring is K2 spring is producing, that means how much force K2 spring is producing for some displacement, that much force should this K1 spring should also produce, and for some displacement, and this combined thing should also produce the same force in so that this K we can find out from their combined effect. So what I will do here, I will make these two things together same. So I can write here F, this is equal to F even. So from this I can write this is equal to 1 by so this whole thing will cancel out. So I can write K1 plus K2, and here I can write K1 K2. Okay, now I know that my frequency, this F, I know that the time period T is equal to 2 pi root over, now for spring mechanism I know this should come M by K, right? So instead of this K I can write K1 K2 by K1 plus K2, right? Even this thing we can do using our omega convention also. So you can see here something like this we are trying to get from here. Acha, so one thing you see here, we got this. So ultimately I can write this is 2 pi root over M into K1 plus K2 by K1 K2, right? So this is my time. So if I just reverse it, I will get the frequency. So my frequency will be 1 by time, 1 by T, that is 1 by 2 pi root over. So whole thing will be reciprocal only plus K2. So this is what I wanted to prove. Okay. So this thing you have to go like this, means you first have to understand what is the equivalent spring constant. But if you just remember that what is the equivalent spring constant in case of series and in case of parallel, you can directly find it out. This part I am leaving for you so that you can use your sense to prove this. I just give you a hint that we know that our omega is root over K by M, which is also 2 pi F, because omega is 2 pi F also. So F is related with K with this formula. So now you can find out using this formula easily. Okay, we are going to the next question here. Let's say this one. A spring balance has a scale that reads from 0 to 50. That means 0 to 50 kg. That means the maximum force it can handle is 50 into G. And the length of the scale is 20. So that means the maximum indication will be at 20 centimeter. That means the total maximum displacement will be 20 centimeters. So I can write that the X max or the Y max is your 20 centimeter, which is nothing but my amplitude itself. So I can write that this is 20 10 to the power 2 meter, and my force is here 50 is the mass m into g, that is g. So this much Newton. So from here, a body suspended from this balance when displaced and release oscillate period. So when I just, so this is my balancing, let's say, that machine, and from here there I have put some amount of load. I just pulled it and leave it, so it will start going back and forth. That means it will oscillate. The time period is given here, that is 0.6 second. What is the weight of the body? So this I have to find out. This is the maximum weight, so this is not the weight of this body. Okay, this is not the weight of this body. So from this information, what I'm going to find out? I'm going to find out the K. Why? Because in case this, I know that T is 2 pi root over m by K. So that means in the last example we have seen this formula, right? That is m by K. So in this case, we need to find out K in order to find out mass, because we know the time period. So how to find out K? K, we can write that force is equal to Kx, that means K into amplitude. Maximum force is K into amplitude, I can write. So K will be equal to, from here, K will be equal to force by amplitude. So that means 50 G by this thing, 20 10 to the power minus 2. Whatever it will come, just put the value of K right here, put the value of T out here, so you can easily find out the value of mass from here. So this math we can do like this. Going to the next one, the piston in the cylinder head of a locomotive has a stroke. So stroke, what is a stroke? Stroke means from here, this is the piston, it will come and again it will go. This is called one stroke, and that is 1 meter. It is written here twice the amplitude. So if the stroke is 1 meter, so the amplitude will be half of the stroke. So that will be 1 meter by 2, that is 0.5 meter. If the piston moves with a simple harmonic motion with an angular frequency, so what is given? Angular frequency is omega, I told you, that is 200 radian per minute is given. Now we have to convert it to second at first. So omega just convert into second. So what you have to do? Minute is downside. So if you have to convert into second, so minute we have to multiply with 60. So you have to multiply, you have to directly divide it by 60 because minute is downside. So then it will be second. Okay. What is the maximum speed? Now I know that omega, I know the velocity V. I just wrote that velocity is omega into root over amplitude square minus displacement square. Here I just want to know at displacement what is the situation. So I can directly write V is equal to R omega kind of formula. That is V is equal to omega into amplitude. That is the maximum speed, right? And it is asked maximum speed only. So in that case, I can directly put the value of this and put the value of amplitude here in order to find out what will be my maximum speed. So from here easily we can find it out. Moving to the next question, you can see here a simple pendulum of length L and having a bob of mass m suspended in a car. So that one, what I was talking about. A car is moving on a circular track of radius r with a uniform speed v. If the pendulum makes small oscillations in a radial direction about its equilibrium portion, what will be the time period? So I know that when this thing happened, that means because the car is moving on circular track of radius r. So this is the car which is moving along a circular track with radius r. So obviously a centrifugal force will work. That means an acceleration is working. That is centripetal acceleration is working on it, right? What is the value of that centripetal acceleration? We know that is omega square r, right? because we know that it is v square by r. So if you put v instead of v r omega, you can write r square omega square, and then there will be cancellation. We will get omega square r as the centripetal acceleration. Okay, so and the centrifugal will work in different direction. So what to do here? See, so for the pendulum, g is working downward, and the centripetal acceleration is working perpendicular to it. So that's why there will be resultant acceleration, because they are working perpendicular. This formula we will use, root over L by, instead of g, what we will write, root over g square plus this, that means omega square r whole square. We just have to use this formula out here, and that will be useful for us. So it does not matter whatever the mass of the object is. So the time period does not depend on the mass itself. So this kind of question we need to solve. We will do more such questions in our live class. For now, this much is there. Thank you for the class.